All right, welcome everyone. Slow arrivals tonight, boy. Tonight we're specially dedicated by Sholem Fogel, who dedicated the whole Masechta, but tonight he's specially dedicating the shir because it is his father's yahrzeit. That's Jack Fogel, who I knew very well, and his Hebrew name is Yaakov Zev Ben Yehuda Aryeh, and I remember very well that his yahrzeit was Zayinov, because I remember being masped him and saying that Zev is Zayinov. He was a very fine man who had an incredible dynasty, a wonderful marriage with his wife Jeannie. His neshama should have a lichtig in Gan Eden, and he sponsors the shir also, Lila Nishmas Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tzivya Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef Ben Tzion Ben Yaakov Zev, and for a great shidduch for Chaya Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel. We learn also Lila Nishmas Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba Esther Bas Yona, Avram Ben Shmuel HaKaina, and Ufur Shalema for Liba Bas Anya. We also learn for the spiritual, emotional, and physical protection for Yeshua Menachem Mendel Ben Bela Shendel Rivka. We learn, sponsored by A.B. Spry, Ufur Shalema for Teva Reiza Bas Hinda, and for great zivugim for their daughter and grandchildren. We are sponsored by Menachem Umansky with a tefillah that all those that are looking for a zivik should find it quickly and easily. We are sponsored by Eddie Chazan for the safety of Klal Yisrael and for the nitzachon and safety of the IDF. We also learn for Rav Shmuel ben Ita Etel that he should have a refuah shalema. Klal Yisrael needs him. He should have a refuah shalema. V'seich sharchei Yisrael. We are holding by the new Mishnah 3 lines from the bottom of Daf Mem Gimel Amud Beis. The new Mishnah 3 lines from the bottom of Daf Mem Gimel Amud Beis. Rabbi Yaisi says that if you have a metal Avoda Zara sheichek v'zayra l'ruach, you could grind it and scatter it to the wind, oy matal yam, or put it into the sea. Amrulai, they said to him, the Chacham said to Rabbi Yaisi, you cannot scatter it to the wind, because afunas zevel, it could be then used as fertilizer, and a yid is not supposed to have any benefit from idolatry. Shenema lo yidbak biyotcha me'uma min achem. There should not cleave to your hand anything, even a minuscule benefit from that which is banned. And Mefarshim tell us that the machlokes over here is about zev goyim, because if inadvertently the fragments are fertilizer, they combine with the earth and the water from the rain, and they create the herb and the seed. So this is zev goyim. So if you hold zev goyim is aser, it's no good. If you have zev goyim is mutter, then it is good. So says the Gemara, Tanya, Amalahem Rabbi Yaisi. Rabbi Yaisi argues that it's beferish in the Torah that you can grind an idol. Amalahem Rabbi Yaisi v'aloi kfar nemar. It says about the egel, your sin asher asisem es egel, that you made the egel, lakachti, I took it, ve'eser faisai be'esh, and burnt it in fire, ve'akasai, and beat it, chayin heitev, well ground, ad asher dakla offer, until it is very thin, ve'ashlach el esafaro el nachal hayored min ahar, and I threw the earth into the river that goes down from the mountain, and the idea is that when it says ashlich esafarai, I cast the earth, it seems to be that it was no problem to throw it to the air. So says the Gemara, what are you talking about? What Amrullah Misham Raya? He put it in the water in order to make a tester like the Meisaita, to test to see those who are guilty of idol worshiper. Amalei Misham Raya, Harioim vayizu al pnei hamayim, he scattered it on the face of the water. Vayashkes b'nei Yisrael, and he made the Bnei Yisrael drink it. Loinus skavein elo lebait kan kisaites. He only wanted to be baiting them to see who was guilty. It wasn't to dispose it, that you could use it for fertilizer. Amalem Rabbi Yaisi, so Rabbi Yaisi says another proof. Amalem, right? Rabbi Yaisi, V'aloi kfar nemar, it says, V'gam Macha. Also Macha, who was Aim Osa HaMelech, the mother of Osa. Actually, it was a grandmother of Osa, so she was the like a queen. Hesira Migvira, Osa had her removed from her royal position. Asher Osa Salah Sheira Miflates, because she made something disgusting, we'll see what it is, in honor of the idolatry. And it was so disgusting, it was unmentionable. And he took what she made, Vayodek, and he crushed it, Vayisraif, and burnt it, Benachal Kidron, and he put it in the valley of Kidron. So you see, we're not worried about fertilizer. Amrulai, so they said to him, Misham Raya, Nachal Kidron, Ein Megadol Tzmachim. The valley of Kidron was not plantable land, and therefore you didn't have to worry about fertilizer. So the Gemara says, what are you talking about? Didn't the Amma in the Beis Hamikdash pour out into the Nachal Kidron, where the gardeners over there bought the blood as fertilizer? V'loi, v'tanan, we learned in the Mishnah, Elu v'elu, the remaining blood of the Chatas HaChitzonos and the Chatas HaPnimiyos, the outer Chatos and the inner Chatos, Misarvin ba'ama, they all mixed up. That was the blood that they threw to the base. They all mixed up into the Amma. There was a special Amma, a canal, which was an Amma wide, and it carried the blood out, v'yotzin l'nachal Kidron, and it went to the valley of Kidron, v'nimkaron l'ganon l'zevel, and the Gizber would sell it to gardeners for fertilizer. And if you used it before you bought it from the Gizber, there's Me'ila. So you see clearly over here that Nachal Kidron had, was people all around Nachal Kidron needed fertilizer, so it did grow. Says the Gemara, Mekaimais Yesh Bai. It had different spots. Yesh Makom Megadol Tzmachim. There were spots that were arable, were plantable. V'yesh Makom She'ein Megadol Tzmachim. And where Asa ground up the Miflates, that was a place that wasn't arable. That was a place that wasn't plantable. Says the Gemara, when you said she made something disgusting, and really it is disgusting, it really is unmentionable. My miflatsta, what is this? Amrab Yehuda Davi Mafli Leitzanusa. It was amazing mockery of Hashem. An amazing mockery. Kedetani Rav Yosef Zacharis Asasalah. She made a metal male organ in honor of the deity. And she would have relations with it every day. So he removed her from her position and destroyed this metal male organ. Amalem Rabbi Yaisi, but Rabbi Yaisi continues, he persists that we're not worried about the idol being used as fertilizer, because Amalem Rabbi Yaisi, V'aloi kfar nemar, that one of the things that Chizkiah did that Hashem was pleased with, V'kitas nechash and nechoshes asher asa Moshe, that he ground up the copper serpent that Moshe Rabbeinu made. If you remember, when Klal Yisrael was attacked by the snakes, so Moshe Rabbeinu made a nechash and nechoshes, and he said, if you look at it, you'll live. And people started to worship this nechash and nechoshes. They started worshipping this copper snake, So he ground it up. Amrulai misham raya. Is it a proof from there? Nah, it's not a proof from there, because it says Vayomer Hashem el Moshe aseh lecha saraf. Make for yourself a serpent. Now Moshe Rabbeinu didn't need it for himself. When it says lecha, it means that Hashem said, make it from your own funds. Lecha mishalecha. Now, since it was his, other people worshipping it can't answer it, because ein adam oiseh davar she'eino shalai. Ve'ein adam oiseh davar she'eino shalai. So really, it wasn't forbidden as idolatry. V'asam dedinu de kesusah le'avitzach. Really, since it wasn't forbidden as an idol, he didn't have to grind it. The reason why Chizkiah ground it up is because people were being nichshal. Elakaven, the Chazah, the Kotor Yisrael Basrei, they were being nichshal and they were worshipping it. Amad B'kitza, he got up and ground it up. This is also when Chizkiah did the very, very hard thing. He hid the Sefer Refuos. Imagine, they used to have a Sefer Refuos, and he hid it, so people didn't know a remedy, and people died. Imagine, that doesn't make you very popular. But he did it because people were not getting the message to do tshuva. They just were looking in the Sefer Refuos. Says the Gemara, Amalahem, so he brings another proof. It says about the Plishtim, Vayazvu sham es atzabeyem, they left there their idols, Vayisa aim David va'anosh, and it was picked up by David and his people. Now the Gemara thinks over here that Vayisa aim means he lifted it to the wind, and he scattered it to the wind. Umay mashma dahai Vayisa aim David lishna de zaruyehu, that he lifted it and scattered it to the wind. So the Gemara says, "Can the Metargem Rav Yosef, like Rav Yosef interprets a pasuk, Tizreim v'ruach tisam, scatter it and it'll be lifted by the wind. The Metargeminon Tizminon v'ruach tetaltalinon, you scatter it and the wind carries it away." Amrulai, so the Gemara says, Misham Raya, Hariyuayma v'yisarfu ba'esh, he burnt them. So over here, Vayisayim doesn't mean he threw it to the wind. Now, since it doesn't say he burnt it and he scattered it to the wind, Shmamina Vayisayim mamish, it means that David HaMelech carried away the idols. But then that begs the question, which one was it? Did he burn them or did he carry it away? The psukim are contradictory. Which did he do? Did he burn it or did he carry it away? Says, well, it was both. You see, he started to burn them, but then a Philistine came over to our side. Ita Hagiti. And when Ita Hagiti came to our side, he was able to be mevatel Avoda Zara, because a guy could be mevatel Avoda Zara. The Ravuna says it's a contradiction. David said to burn them in the fire, but then it says he carried them away. Says like kasha kan kaidim sheba Ita Hagiti. One was before Iti Agite came over to our side, so then they had to be burnt. Kan la'achar sheba Iti Agite, after Iti Agite came over to our side, then he was mavatal it, and then we were able to carry it away. D'chsiv, vayikach as ateres malkam mi'al roishay. Now, even though the pasuk says the crown of the king, but the Gemara here darshans it, Vayikach es ateres milkam. Milkam was their getchka. So he took the heavy crown off the idol milkam, umishkala kikers of, its weight was a talent of gold, and David HaMelech put it on his head. Now that's very difficult. How could he put a crown of idolatry on his head? It's asabana. Umishari isur anon, Rav Nachman, Ite Agite ba bitla. Ite Agite went and was mavatalit, And when he was able to mevatel it, so David HaMelech showed the victory of Klal Yisrael and the Kiddush Hashem, and he put it on his head. Now the problem is, how did he put it on his head if it was a talent of gold? Now, okay, Barry wears some fancy top hats. But, Barry's top hats, maybe they weigh 4 pounds. A talent of gold weighs around 64 pounds. That's a pretty heavy thing to put on your head. So says the Gemara, Mishkala Kikar Zav, if its weight was a talent of gold, Heichi Matzi Manachla, how did he put it on his head? A talent of gold is very heavy. Amrav Yudah Amarav, Ru'uya Lanuach al Rosh David. It just meant that the crown was able to fit on David HaMelech's head. We're going to see that it was miraculous that it was able to fit David HaMelech's head. Rabbi Yossi Reb Chanina Amar Evan She'eves Hoysaba, there was a magnet, and the magnet was attached to David HaMelech's crown and David HaMelech's throne, and it lifted the crown to right above David HaMelech's head. Rabbi Lazar says it doesn't mean that it was heavy like a talent of gold. Evan Yikara Haisaba, it had a very precious gem. That very precious gem was worth a talent of gold. Shava Kikar Zav, it was worth a talent of gold. Now, David HaMelech said, Zois Hoisali, this happened to me, this reward happened to me, Ki Fikudecha Noitzarti, because I kept your mitzvahs. My karma, what did David HaMelech mean? Hachi karma. Bischar Shepikudecha Noitzarti, as a reward that I kept your laws, Hoisali La'edus. This crown was a testimony that it fit David HaMelech perfectly. He put it by the place of the tefillin, and it fit perfectly. Says and it fit perfectly. This I can't help remember that when Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky took over the position in Toronto, and that was very vital for him because Toronto saved his family from the Holocaust, because when they accepted him as a Rav there, they sent over with visas to bring in Rabbi Yaakov's wife and children, and Mamash saved their life. And Rabbi Yaakov said they had a test in Toronto. There was a top hat that belonged to the Rav, and if the top hat fit the next Rav, then he got the position. So they put it on his head, and it fit his head. Rabbi Yaakov said he never liked the top hat, but he wore it. I saw pictures of Rabbi Yaakov in the top hat. It looked very snazzy. So anyway, David HaMelech says that it was in reward for my keeping the mitzvahs that Hashem made it that it should fit his head perfectly. Says Gemara, but how could he put it in the place of the tefillin? Yes, they wore tefillin the whole day. It seems to be that it doesn't mean that he wore it only in the night. Says the Gemara, Rav Shmuel bar Reb Yitzchak, Mokum Yesh B'Rosh, there's a place on the head, Sheroy Laniach by Shtei Tefillin, that you have room for 2 tefillin, one in back of the other. So he put on the tefillin in front, and then the crown fit. By Yotziu as Ben HaMelech, this is much later on. Many of David HaMelech's family was murdered, and one child, one descendant, Yoash, was saved, and they would put this crown on Yoash, and it fit him. Vayotziu as Ben HaMelech, vayitnu lo es hanezer ve'es ha'edus. They took out the descendant of the king, and they put on him the crown, the testimony. Nezer zu klila, Nezer is the crown. Eidus, Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, Eidus ul Beis David. It was a testimony to the Beis David. Shekol haroya lamalchus, whoever was fit for malchus, hoilamtoi, the crown fit. V'kol she'ein roya lamalchus, ein hoilamtoi. Now, Adoniyo, as we know, Adoniyo rebelled and tried to get and usurped the kingship. Now, he tried to put on this crown. Adoniyo ben Chagis misnase lemor ani emloich. Adoniyo, who tried to grab the throne for himself, tried to reign. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav, what does it mean, misnase? It means shemisnase lahoma. He tried to get the crown to fit on his head, v'loy halamta. It didn't fit. Now, when Adoniyo was trying to become the next monarch, he got for himself a retinue. V'yasloi rechev, chariots, uproshim, and cavalry, v'chamishim ish rotzim lefonav, and 50 men running before him. Now, what was special about these 50 men? My revusayu, tana kulam nitulei tchel. All of them had their spleen removed, because the spleen makes a person sluggish. So they had their spleen removed. V'chakuke kapas haragloyim hayu, and they had the bottom of their soul removed, so that there shouldn't be any nerve endings, so that when they run, they should be able to run fast because they won't feel any pain. Okay, we turn the page. Turning another page of Shas is something to celebrate, and I guess I could already be a mensch and welcome in our 29 Zoomers, although I'm a little bit disappointed. I thought we would have, I saw some communication from Aaron Swade. I thought we would have Aaron Swade tonight, and I was looking forward to seeing Mark again. But okay, we'll take things slowly as we welcome in Barry Cement and Yaakov Warman and Saba, A.B. Spry, Yisrael Fisher, Mel Zachter, Shimon Klein. We welcome back Shimon Klein. Shimon, you came back from Eretz Yisrael? Wow. Yitzi Fuchs and Ruvain Shanet, Benzion Cohn, Eddie Chazan, Avig DeFried, Shelley Zeitlin, Mo Kushner, Dr. Block, Rabbi Kranz, Stephen Holtzman, Dr. Yudel, Moshe Lehman, Menachem Imansky, Nachman Shapler, Irving Fishbaum, Yitzi Muller, Avram Rezepkowitz, Ilya Shutman, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg, Daniel Rosenberg, and I think that must be David Helfgott.
I am here, yes.
Yes, wonderful.
Thank you.
So now we start the new Mishnah, Mem Daled Amud Beis, and remember, Rabbi Say, Motzi Tisha B'Av Shir at 10 o'clock. We will learn two blot. If you look at Daf Mem Hey, the Amud Aleph is very, very small, so it's it should be not such a shvera task to do the two blot, even though it's Motzi Shabbos, Motzi Tisha B'Av. We'll look forward to being with you then. So says the Gemara now, and tonight again we have a triple crown. When we finish the daf, we're going to have for the Shabbos Chazon table, a special share for Shabbos Chazon, and then we'll do the Mishnah Yaimis. Also tomorrow on Friday, I probably will do a double Mishnayis. I'll record a double Mishnayis, so we shouldn't fall too far back in the Mishnayis. Also, I shouldn't tell you this, but since you're my intimate family, I will tell you that I prepared, TorahAnytime.com has a series on Tisha B'Av called A Burst of Inspiration. Burst of Inspiration for Tisha B'Av. So I recorded that for them. It will play on Tisha B'Av, but if you want to get a sneak peek at the Burst of Inspiration, I did put it already on YouTube, so you could check that out as well. Or you could save it for Tisha B'Av. Now, Shaul Proiklos ben Philosophus. Proiklos was a priest of idolatry. And he found that Rabbi Gamliel in Akko bathed in a bathhouse that had a statue of Aphrodite. So he wanted to know how he was allowed to do that. So Shal Proiklois ben Philosophus es Rab Gamliel ba'akoi she'yoreichetz b'merchat shel Aphrodite, he bathed in the bathhouse of Aphrodite. So Amalei, so Proiklois asked Rab Gamliel while they were in the bathhouse, Kosa b'saraschem, it says in your Torah, v'lo yidbak b'yodkom u'men acherem. You're not allowed to have any benefit cleave to you from that which is excommunicated. So since Aphrodite is a banned, why are you bathing in the bathhouse of Aphrodite? Amalai, so he said, look, it's a bathhouse, we can't talk Torah. Amalai, ein mashivim b'merchatz. The Gemara will say that he didn't even tell that to him in the bathhouse. He didn't say anything. When they got out of the bathhouse, he explained that I didn't answer you in the bathhouse because you can't answer in the bathhouse. Ukishiyatza Amalai, when he left, he also told them, you have to understand, it's not that Aphrodite was built first and then the bathhouse was made in honor of Aphrodite. The bathhouse was made first, and then they made the statue. Aniloi basi bigvula, I didn't come into its border. He ba bigvuli, it was built after the bathhouse. And since it was built after the bathhouse wasn't built for it. Furthermore, ein oimrim nasa merchatz noila Aphrodite. We don't say that the bathhouse is a decoration to Aphrodite, because people bathing, that's not a noi to Aphrodite. Ela oimer nas Aphrodite noi lemerchatz. We say that they made Aphrodite as a decoration to the bathhouse. So if it was made as a decoration to the bathhouse, it doesn't make the bathhouse forbidden. If the bathhouse was made for Aphrodite, then it would be forbidden. Davar acher. Furthermore, it shows the fact that you stand naked and you urinate in front of Aphrodite. That shows that it's not an idol. Davar acher, im noisnu lach momen harba, if I gave you much money, you wouldn't go into your idol while naked, ubal keri, after having been polluted from semen, or mashtin b'faneh, and urinate in its presence, while zu oimdas al pi abiv, it's standing by the gutter, v'kol ha'am mashtin l'faneh, and everybody's urinating before it. So that's not a god. Lo nemer ela Elohayim. It says that we can benefit from Elohayim. Eshenoig by mishum Elohust, if you treat it like a deity. Also, but if you don't treat it like a deity, you urinate in front of it, it's mutter. Now, the Gemara will ask, but why is that different by Baal Pa'ar, where they defecate in front of it and it's still awesome? So the Gemara will say that's because Baal Pa'ar's way of worship was to defecate in front of it. Aphrodite's way of worship was not to defecate in front of it, not to urinate in front of it, not to walk naked in front of it. Says the Gemara, but how did he tell Proclus that I can't talk Torah? That's also Torah. That's also a halacha. You're allowed to think in divrei Torah, except for the bathhouse and the bathroom. He answered in English. He answered in Latin, but that doesn't help changing the language. Secular things, what's the price in the stock market? You could even say in Hebrew in the bathhouse. But dvarim shel kodesh, but holy things, even you can't even say in English. Says the Gemara, Tana kishiyatza amalai. When he left, he said, I didn't answer you right away because you can't answer in the, he told him, you can't answer in the bathhouse. Now, Amar Reb Chama bar Yosef Berebi, Reb Chama bar Yosef, the great man. We had this earlier, that the lashon of Berebi means that it's the great man of his generation. So Amar Rav Chama bar Yosef Berebi, Amar Rav Oishia, he said in the name of Rav Oishia, Tshuva Genuva Yeshiva Rav Gamliel Oisei Egman. Rav Gamliel gave him a deceiving answer, because really the answer is not a good answer. Vani Aimer, and I say Eina Genuva. It was a good answer that he gave him. So first the Gemara says, "My genufte." What do you mean? He gave him a clever answer that's really not true. The Ka'amaloi Zuai Medis Al Pi Abiv. It's standing by the gutter of a kol adam mashtim b'fanea, and everybody is urinating in front of it. So the Gemara says, "So what? V'chi mashtim b'fanea my have." But that we know that they defecate in front of Pa'ar, and it's still an idol. V'amar Rava Pa'ar yoichiach shemafarin lefana b'chol yom. They defecate in front of it every day. Ve'ena batal, and it's not nullified. However, Vani Aimer, Reb Chama Reb Yosef says, Eina Genuva. It wasn't a deceptive answer, because it's different than Pa'ar. Because Zu Avoda Zara Daf, Pa'ar, its form of worship is to defecate. V'zu, but Aphrodite, its form of worship is not urinating in front of it. V'zu ein Avoda Zara Daf. Abaye says is another reason why they suggested that his answer was only a clever ploy. Amar Abaye genufte mehacha. The ka'amale ani loy basi b'gvula. I didn't come into her border. To the contrary, v'hi ba b'gvuli. Says the Gemara, v'hi ba b'gvula my having. So what if she came into my border? V'atanan avodis kachavim sheyesh le'merchatz agina, a idol that has a bathhouse or a garden. Nenen mehem shaloi b'toiva. You could benefit if you're not paying. Ve'ein nenen mehem b'toiva. But you can't benefit with paying. Says the Gemara. In other words, the Gemara asks that the implication is that if I came into, if the merchatz was made after Aphrodite, then it would be forbidden. But we learned that even if it was made after Aphrodite, as long as you don't pay for it, it's allowed. Now here Rabbi Gamliel didn't pay for it. However, says the Gemara, V'ani Aimer Eina Genuva. I say it wasn't a clever ploy, because Rabbi Gamliel was saying that if the merchatz was made after Aphrodite, then I wouldn't be allowed to bathe in it, because since I'm a Nasi, my not paying still would bring honor to the idol. Because Shaloi b'toivus Rabbi Gamliel, even without paying, ki b'toivus acherim dami. It's like other people pay, because it brings honor to the idol. So therefore he said, but since the idol was built afterwards, so then it's not the idol's bathhouse. Reb Shimi bar Chiya amar genufte mehacha. The cleverness is as follows: the ka'amaloi zuay medes alabiv. It's standing by the gutter. V'kol adam mashtina b'foneh, and everybody is urinating. Says the Gemara, so what? We'll see that a guy who urinates in front of an idol is not mavatal the idol. Says the Gemara, V'chi mashtinam, and we welcome in Michal Avram, who is our 30th Zoomer of the evening. Says the Gemara, but so what if they're mashed in front of it? We learned that if a guy urinates or spits at an idol, he doesn't nullify it. So he just got angry. Vatanan rock b'faneh, if he spits in front of it, hishtim b'faneh, he urinates in front of it, girra, he drags it, v'zark b'asasaya, or he throws some dung at it, harizu eina b'teilim. So the Gemara says, yeah, that's if an individual does it. Because we say he just got angry. But here everyone does it. Just that moment he threw dung at it or urinated, he got angry. They're doing it, everybody's doing it every day. It's being degraded. One more pshat. Rabbi Bar Ula Amar, Genufta mehacha. The clever ploy that Rabbi Akiva attempted, the Kamalei ein oimrim nasa merchatz noi la'Aphrodite. We don't say that the bathhouse is a beauty for Aphrodite. Ela nasa Aphrodite noi la'merchatz. Rather, Aphrodite is a beauty for the bathhouse. Says the Gemara, but even if we would say, even if it says that the bathhouse is a decoration for Aphrodite, my having. So what? That doesn't answer it. This house should be for the getchka. This goblet should be for the getchka. Because there's no iser hektish by an idol. Shein hektish lavadis kechavim. So even if it would be that the bathhouse is a decoration for Aphrodite, it wouldn't be aser either. What was he saying? V'ani aimer eina genuva. Nehedi itzurei loy mitzvah. Even though, if you say that the bathhouse should be a decoration for the idol, you're not offering it as a offering to the idol, and there's no hektish to an idol, so it wouldn't be aser, but noimia ika, but it is beautifying it. And if it's beautifying it, then you can't participate in it, because you're not allowed to participate in something that's a beauty for the idol. As Rashi says, if the bathing was a beauty to the idolatry, to the idol, also it's forbidden to give beauty to the getchka. Even though the bathhouse is not osabana, because it's not kakruvas Avoda Zara, it's not an offering to the Avoda Zara. But if the bathhouse was made to give beauty to the idol, you wouldn't be able to bathe, because you're not allowed to give beauty to an idol. Okay, now we're going to have the segment called.
Rabbi, can I ask you?
No, not now. I have two more shiurim. Now we're going to have the segment called For the Shabbos Table,